Hi, my name is Johan Twiss. I am a local author. I live in Saratoga Springs, Utah. I'm here to tell you a little bit about my books and why I became an author, how that started. I didn't plan on becoming an author. That was never really in the cards. But I worked with some nonprofits raising money and awareness about human trafficking. And through that, I did a lot of studying, and I was interviewing survivors, and I decided I wanted to write something. But I wanted to write something different than what was out there and focus more on the aftercare and the positive experience it could have in recovery. And so I started writing a book. Never written a book before, and it was awful. It was really bad. But I got the writing bug from it. I say it turned into something like Psych meets Iron Man. Like, it just went off the rails. It was a lot of fun though. There were some really good parts, and I enjoyed it. And so I started going to writing conferences. I started listening to podcasts about writing. And I've always been creative with music and other things, and I had a lot of stories in my head, and so I started writing those. And that became my first series. My human trafficking novel became my trunk novel, and I came back and redid it. But my first series is this one, I Am Sleepless. It's a 4-book series. It's a fun one, a lot of action adventure. I say it's like Avatar: The Last Airbender meets Star Wars. You have kids with superpowers trying to stop a war from happening. And with the series, I say if you start book 1, almost everyone finishes the last 3 books. And it is a 4-book series complete. This last book came out this summer, which I was happy. I love my series, love the characters, but as an author, when you read these books over and over and over again, you're editing them, you're kind of done with it by the end. But I'm excited to have it out, this series completely done. My other book, my bestseller, a lot of book clubs enjoy this. This is 4 Years Trapped in My Mind Palace. And this is about a 14-year-old boy who's trapped in a coma-like state due to a rare illness, but he's awake and aware in his head. And he gets a roommate in his care facility, this older man with dementia. And when the teen, he talks to himself in his head to stay sane, and when that happens, the old man hears his thoughts and replies. But no one believes the old man because he has dementia. They think he's crazy. And the old man will have episodes with his illness where he thinks he's suddenly living in the past. And when that happens, it pulls the teenager into those moments. So he experiences 1920s New York City, World War II, Disneyland in the 60s. And you get a very fun, interesting friendship between the two of them. I say this is like if you took Tuesdays with Morrie, a heartwarming story, and you mix it with Back to the Future. And that's what you get with 4 Years Trapped in My Mind Palace. It is a lot of fun. I have old and young who enjoy this book. And yeah, I encourage you to check this one out. I shouldn't have a favorite of my stories. I love all my books. I love my sci-fi series, but this one's probably my favorite book. I have a new book that just came out 2 weeks ago. It's called When Sister Soul Stole the Blues. And this is a story about twin sisters separated at birth. One of them hears a voice in her head. Think like the movie Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. The one sister hears this voice telling her to go to a street corner in downtown Dallas. When she gets there, she meets this homeless woman who's autistic and has this amazing singing voice. And everyone on the street calls her Sister Soul because when she sings, she steals their blues away. And Sister Soul tells this other woman that, I'm your sister. And it becomes a kind of a mystery. Are they sisters? Where did they come from? What are their roots? And it's a story about what family really means. So this is a very heartwarming, inspirational story that it was just a blast to write. And I'm from the Dallas area, so I got to write a lot of things about growing up in Dallas and the different parts of Dallas. Which there's a tip in here if you want the best barbecue in Dallas. You want to know where it is, it's in the book. And I'm doing a special right now on my website for the next while. If you buy a copy of Sister Soul, you get a free copy of my short story, The Fourth Law of Kanaloa. This is a short story, modern fairy tale romance that takes place during the Pearl Harbor attack, but has Hawaiian mythology involved with it. So it is I've had people tell me this feels like I just read a whole novel, even though it's a pretty, it's only 5 chapters long short story. And the last book that I wanted to share with you is 30 Red Dresses. This is the book that I started writing with. This is what started me on the writing journey. I went back to it a couple years ago, totally gutted it and redid it. And it is a story about an 8-year-old girl in Cambodia who's sold to a brothel. But nothing happens to her because there is a flash flood that occurs that frees her and the other girls there. And there is a main character, a man who comes and helps them to escape and to find a safe house and a place where they can recover. So I really focus on the positive and the aftercare and what good things can happen for those who have gone through these horrible instances of human trafficking. And I have a lot of different resources at the back too if you want to get involved in combating human trafficking, simple things that you can do and organizations that you can support. Yeah, so I am what you call an indie author. And so that means I'm independent. I don't have a publisher. I hire out to my editors. I hire out a lot of my cover design as well. Though some of these I do the covers myself. I do have a marketing and some graphic design background. So like these two covers I've done, these two covers I've done. And I teach classes at writing conferences about cover design, about marketing, and about writing. With independent author, the way that that works is I publish through Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. So it's called KDP. And through there, you submit everything that you have. You've already had it pre-edited, you've done all that, you have your covers created, and when you submit it into KDP, it then publishes to Amazon. But you can also do print on demand. So as an author, I can buy discounted copies from Amazon through KDP that then I can take to shows and markets that I sell at. You also have ebooks that you can do through KDP. If you go to Amazon, you search Johan Twiss, you'll see all my books. I have ebooks, I have paperbacks. I also have audiobooks for a few. I am an audiobook narrator too on the side when I have time. I didn't do all of my books because some of them have main characters that are female, and that's not going to be me doing that for the whole book. But that's done for those interested in audiobooks through a service called ACX, that's the Audiobook Exchange. And Amazon actually owns that company too. Amazon owns everything, it seems like. But with the Audiobook Exchange, as an author, I can put up my work, my manuscript that I want to have narrated, and I can take submissions for auditions. Or I can go find narrators on there and I can ask, would you be interested in reading this book, narrating it? And you can do different things where it's like a royalty split to save money, where they will narrate the book and they'll get half of the royalties going forward. Or you could pay some up front, $100, $200, $300 or something, and then do a royalty split. Or you can do it, some narrators just want to be paid per finished hour. So say you have a book that's 8 hours long and you want to pay them $100 per finished hour. It's going to cost you $800 to have that book narrated. So that's kind of how that side of the business works with audiobooks. And we've seen a huge growth in audiobook sales too. Audiobooks and ebooks continue to grow. Paperbacks, especially when I'm at events, sell very well still. Or the middle grade. You need paperback or hardbacks when you're selling middle grade books. For those that are interested in writing middle grade young adult, that's just the format they prefer to read. It's easier for libraries, for schools. Kids love to have that, especially if they can have a signed copy with it. I also do school visits. I do classroom. I can do in-person if it's local here in Utah, in northern Utah, or I can do virtual across the country or the world. I do that for homeschool groups as well as schools. I can do large assemblies, and I don't charge anything for my school visits at all. The reason is parents will go and they'll buy the books online, and that pays for it. But I also give free artwork out to all of the students. So if you go to my website, johantwiss.com, I have my books for sale, but then I have artwork. So in the I Am Sleepless series, we can find one here for you. Each chapter has a new weird hybrid animal, and kids love these. So like here, this is a panda pig. We have some like let's see, what's another good one? A bat monkey. I have centipythons. I have monsters, and we have cute and funny ones like peacows. So I give away one free piece of artwork to every student because I want every student to have something, whether they can afford a book or not. But I talk about creativity. I talk about the writing process. And it can be a custom presentation, anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour long. And it can be something that teachers want to specifically want me to talk about with writing, or one of the most popular ones, I talk about creativity. And that can be anything from music to art to writing, because some kids may not be as interested in reading or writing. Other kids love to read and write, but those kids who aren't interested, they might enjoy sports. And there are ways to be very creative in sports. They might enjoy art and music. And those are all things that I have a background in. So I'll come in, we'll do some hands-on stuff, we'll do some magic tricks, we'll talk about even sports and music and art. And I also do presentations on anti-bullying as well, if that's something that you'd like to talk about in your classroom or your school group.